My dearest Earth brothers and sisters, this is RKok speaking. I greet you with love and respect. For those who missed my previous messages, I am a reptilian who abandoned his evil ways and joined the Galactic Confederation. Nowadays I feel like an outsider everywhere. Certainly I'm an outsider to the evil reptilian culture I left. I also don't quite feel like a member of the Galactic Confederation yet, even though technically I am, and they've been nothing but good to me. I don't feel like I'm at the level of consciousness yet of the people around me, and therefore I don't feel like I belong, even though they feel like I belong. Not to mention that most people around me have weird, pink, small, squishy bodies. I can't even give people a friendly slap on their back without having to be conscious that their bodies are fragile. And when one of the women here gets curious and wants a new sexual experience, I have to be careful to not just accidentally break her in half during sex. Which, well, reinforces my feeling of being an outsider. I haven't been able to just lose myself in sex since I left the reptilians, because reptilian women are much sturdier and also are normal size rather than being weirdly small, as humans are. Sometimes I feel that those Pleiadian women are mostly just using me for my body, because having sex with a reptilian is a new sexual experience for people who have already experienced everything else. Although to be honest, maybe I'm being too cynical here. I have turned down an offer to explore the possibility of a serious relationship from a Pleiadian woman who seemed to be kind and who seemed to genuinely care about me. Why? I don't know. I guess I didn't feel ready. I guess I didn't feel worthy. Now that I'm having to actually spell that out, it does sound a bit stupid. Maybe I should visit her, see if she wants to spend some time together. There's this planet I always wanted to make a day trip to, maybe she wants to come. In any case, I am an outsider. I haven't lived on Earth, and I am not a human. I still want to give an outsider's perspective on today's topic of helping Earth human women feel safe. I'm not an expert on the topic, but I'll do my best. With that said, let's get started. Chapter 1. Many women often feel very unsafe. If you talk to Earth women and have a heart, you'll probably be disturbed by just how many of them have a story where they were raped or groped or were in situations that were physically or emotionally very unsafe. As a result, many Earth women understandably often feel very unsafe. I don't agree with everything this spiritual teacher does or says, but Teal Swan had a good illustration of this in her YouTube video, What Every Man Needs to Know About Women. In that video, she said, and I quote, "If you fill a room with men and women, and you ask the question, have you ever feared for your life, what you will notice is that a few of the men's hands will go up. Each of these men has a story about an isolated incident, like for example the time they got into a fight when they were a kid, or the time they got into an accident, or the time they were traveling abroad. What happens also is that every single hand of every woman in that audience will go up into the air. And if you ask the question, how many of you feared for your life in the last year, most of the men's hands will go down, unless the isolated incident they were talking about occurred within that last year. And again, all of the hands of the women stay up. If you ask the question, how many of you feared for your safety and your life in the last month, again, all of the women's hands stay up. And the same thing happens if you ask, how many of you have feared for your life in the last week? All of the hands will stay up. And this exercise usually shocks the hell out of men. Because this is the one thing that men do not understand about women. That is quite a revealing story, isn't it? Chapter 2. The importance of helping women feel safe. It feels wrong and distasteful to even have to argue this. After all, healthy and uncluttered people will naturally want to help women feel safe. There's an obvious moral imperative here. However, in practice, lots of Earth men are struggling themselves, and therefore they don't necessarily see women's safety as a priority. Because of that, I will make a practical argument why it's important to help women feel safe. The practical argument is, my message last week was RKok, society thrives if women love, and men protect and protect. In it, I argued that both men and women thrive if women love, and men provide and protect. So obviously, men protecting women is one step towards this better society that I sketched last week. Chapter 3, As a Man, How to Help Women Feel Safe. One part of this is helping every person in your community to feel protected and provided for. Now you may not be able to fully accomplish this by yourself, but you can make a small contribution. I'm sure you can think of an intelligent way to make your local community better. Next up, let's say I see a man grope a woman, and I'm in an area where I don't trust the police to do a good job at all. Then I'll have a conversation with the groper about respect and consent. If that conversation lands, great, that's it. If the conversation doesn't land, then I'll beat him up so that he can feel what it's like to be touched without consent. To be clear though, this is just my viewpoint, the channeler doesn't agree with this and other galactics won't necessarily agree. Regardless, I feel that men need to do a better job at making sure that other men don't mistreat women. This also extends to speaking up if other men say that they're planning to mistreat a woman, or if for example they say that all women are awful. Now, I'm not saying you should censor the speech of someone who badmouths all women. I'm just suggesting that you disagree. And I'm also not saying that you must disagree if you hear someone make a politically incorrect statement, or a statement that some people including some women won't like but that might nevertheless be true. I'm just suggesting to disagree with obviously untrue statements such as all women being bad. Next up, let's discuss helping your girlfriend or wife to feel safe. Now obviously the best thing to do is just to talk to her, because people are different. What she says is more important than anything I'll say. Regardless though, here are some things that personally go through my head when I'm thinking about helping a girlfriend or wife feel safe. Again, help with protecting and providing for her, without putting her in a cage or taking away her freedom. Although of course it's fine to have personal boundaries and relationship agreements if both of you agree to a monogamous relationship, then obviously that's not taking away her freedom. If that's the kind of relationship you two want, take charge, make decisions, show initiative, organize fun things to do for you two together. While still listening to her, of course. Have a goal or goals that aren't centered around her. Ideally, be good enough at working with your own sexual energy that you're okay even if on a certain night you want to have sex but she doesn't. There are tantric and yogic exercises that help here, such as Mula Bandha or Uddiyana Bandha. That said, if you regularly want sex and she doesn't, and that's not a temporary situation, then you may just be incompatible. It's not shallow to want a healthy and fulfilling sex life, as either a man or a woman. Next up, keep your word. Do what you say. Be reliable. Just work for her benefit. If you can think of something to help her out, do so if you can, even if she doesn't explicitly ask or if it's not explicitly your responsibility. Partners are supposed to be a team, after all. Personally, if I entered a relationship with someone who came from such an unsafe environment as Earth, I would offer to hand her a signed contract that said that if I ever intentionally lied to her or cheated on her or hit her, then she could demand any compensation from me that she wished whatsoever. And she could have police or courts legally enforce that. And, of course, I would regularly express how much I loved her and all the things I appreciated about her and admired about her. So, this was my attempt at answering the question, how can men help women feel more safe? Finally, women, you're invited to share in the comments section what men can do to help you and other women feel more safe, whether societally or in the context of a relationship. Because of course, what you say on this topic is more important than what I say. And obviously, if you disagree with anything in this message, feel free to say that as well. Now excuse me, I have a lady on my mind that I want to go spend some time with. With love.